On this week's episode of Will It Develop, we are going to test out the Superior 3 negative, and if it works, you're going to be able to get a roll. So welcome to a very special episode of Will It Develop. This is the first time that we're going to bring you into the entire process of how we bring a film stock back to life. And so doing that, I wanted to go through everything that we do here at the Celluloid Collective, all the testing and all of those kind of things. So today what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Superior 3 negative and basically break this all down, get a test roll, do the processing, and you'll be able to see everything that we do to bring this film back to life. And one of my favorite things about the Celluloid Collective and why we started this is because before I had ever done any of this, I wanted to try these films, but buying 1,000-foot roll of them is usually not very economical. Also, it's not very feasible for a lot of people to be able to break this down. So as a reference, if we do 24 exposures on this, we'll get about 200 rolls, give or take, depending on how much it takes for us to test it. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out in Rodinal as a stand develop. This is very old, 1952. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm also going to try it in monobath, and I've gotten a lot of pushback on that in the comments over the past 6 months of doing this, but as a reference, almost all of the black and white that I've done has been in either monobath or Rodinal stand develop. And more often than not, I try it in the monobath first because, for one, it's accessible, it's a little bit simpler, especially if you're trying this out for the first time, and also I want to be able to see, can we use this modern technology that we have to make it easier, so why not? But what we're going to do today is we're going to start breaking this down. So I'm going to take this 1,000-foot roll. I'm going to get myself about 25 feet on a core here, and that way I can bulk load it. So we're going to go down into one of our 100-foot bulk loaders. I'm not going to get a whole 100 feet. I'm hoping to get 2 or 3 rolls out of this, but also I'm going to have to kind of guess as we go along because I don't know, this is sealed, but I don't know what that first kind of couple feet is going to be like. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what it looks like, and I have to do this all in the dark. So what you're going to need is some kind of tint or changing bag. I'm going to use a tint because it's 1,000 feet and it's a little bit easier. Sorry for the sound if that was a little loud. A tint is made for motion picture changing, and this would have been the case with this DuPont 3, the Superior Negative 3. And from my understanding, I'm going to do all of this in the bag, by the way. By my understanding, I'm going to double check after I'm done with this. Nobody freak out about this, but I'm going to take the top off and pull this film out. This film never actually worked, so we're going to try to do something else with it. This is one of those will it develop that never worked, so I don't know if it was exposed, I don't know if it was test film, I don't know if it was leaders. It's kind of purple too. I don't know, I'd never seen anything like that. Talked to a bunch of people, we tried it in multiple different chemicals, and it never worked. So I'm gonna try to make something interesting out of that. So this is gonna be my core, and you'll see that there's a little line right here in the middle of the core, and that's where the film will get pushed into. We'll wrap it around and we'll get it on there. And then we'll have to get it back into our holder here. So we're gonna put that in there, in our core, and we're gonna do this. And hopefully this goes fairly quick, because if you're in there too long, you'll end up getting moisture on the film. And we're also gonna need a pair of scissors, which I had that somewhere, and come on. All right, so the next step we're gonna be in, we're gonna go into the actual, into the actual bag. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna feel around, and I have to take this tape off. This film is from 1952. The tape is pretty crusty, and so I just need to make sure, oh my, ugh, it's gross. It's lost basically all of its kind of structural integrity. You'll see when we pull it back out of here, but oof, it is dusty. All right. So I'm gonna put that over there, and so I have the lid off now. If you've never done motion picture film before, or bulk loaded it down like this, it comes inside of an opaque bag. So it comes into comes in a black bag that's sealed in here, and usually it's flipped upside down, and oh, this one's paper. Interesting, okay. So I'm gonna have to be really, really careful with this one, because once that paper's kind of done, it'll have a crack in it. Okay, it's in paper and then in plastic. Weird, okay. All right, so I have 1,000 feet of film in my hands now. That's that crinkly plastic that's around it. And now I just need to find out where it starts so I can get myself a couple of feet. Okay, I found the end. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna try to get off, I don't know, let's say about 10-ish feet It's going to be a little difficult here, like I said, because this is not really, it's just loose film in here. So I have my core and I'm going to start rolling. There. And let's I like to show that it's the good and the bad around here. So the batteries died in the microphones. That's why I went to straight static. And then I talked to myself in the garage for another 20 minutes before I realized. So, but over the last hour or so, I've been developing it and scanning it. And so we're going to look at everything now. So let's jump into Lightroom. All right, well, thanks for working through that technical with me. When you do this all by yourself, sometimes those things happen. We got some good negatives in here. These are in the mono bath right now. I'm going to test the rod and awl stand develop later, and then I'll just kind of put those in the credits. But I wanted to get through this and show you what we have, which is, this is kind of success. This film is over 70 years old, and the negatives are looking pretty good. And what I did is I just bumped it one stop for each version of it. You can see that there's only like 7 photos here. I think that there might have been a issue with the camera advancing. It looks like it jumped a couple of times over some sprockets. This is motion picture film. This is a camera that sometimes does have issues with motion picture film, and I think it's because of the sprocket's shape. So still film will be yeah, so still film will be a little bit more square sprocket. It's probably hard to tell from there. That was a bad example. But these kind of oval, like oblong on the edge, those are motion picture. And some of your cameras will try to jump on that. This Canonet here has a auto loading mechanism. And I think part of it is that because it doesn't have like the normal pressure plate that would normally be putting it down. And so it's kind of a pressure plate here, and there's a pressure plate here. Sometimes it does jump with the with motion picture film, and that might have been what it was. But nonetheless, we have some good stuff in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply these really quick, and then we're gonna look at them. Whoa. All right, so we got something there, which is great. It looks like that it's still underexposed right here, and so that gives me some really, really good information. All right, so let's go into full screen really quick. So you can see as we continue to go along, and I did a really, really fast scan here with an iPhone using the raw settings, and I will make sure to do the full, but I just wanted to see what we had so I could show it to you really quick before I do my full test where I'll actually go out and shoot for real. This video is going to have the most amount of technical errors, so thank you for bearing with me as I get acclimated to the new studio and how everything is going to have to work in here. But we're looking at these negatives and a couple of things. I photographed them in RAW mode on my iPhone, so I could convert them really, really quick. So they're not perfect, and there were a little bit of reflections. I just wanted to see what we have. After we're done with this, you will see the full test images from the shoot that I'm going to go take here in a little while. I'm gonna go around the neighborhood and shoot a whole roll. From what I'm looking at, it looks like you can see that these kind of double exposure things happen. Something got jammed, you can see here, and so it kind of went over the top. Not sure what it was, but like I was saying, the Canonet does have a pressure plate, and then it also has an auto load mechanism. Sometimes those two, especially with motion picture film, I've noticed the oblong sprockets end up getting kind of hung up, but it is what it is. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned something. I know I sure did. But make sure you head on over to thecelluloidcollective.com and you sign up for our newsletter. That's where we have all of our new drops of things that we have. So make sure you're on the newsletter. That'll be the only place to get the information, along with the DuPont and a couple other films that we're testing right now. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Do something nice for somebody, and I will see you next time.